Today, we delve into a case that sent shockwaves through Moscow, leaving a trail of terror and tragedy in its wake. This is the haunting tale of Sergey Golovkin, infamously known as the Fisher. Hi guys, and welcome back to Crimeco, where we break down some of the most gruesome true crime cases from all over the world, giving you the most up-to-date detailed information. If that sounds like something you are interested in, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a like. A like from you really helps the channel. Thank you. Now let's dive in. Our journey today takes us to the vast and sprawling country of Russia, once part of the Soviet Union. Among its numerous cities and towns, Moscow, the capital, stood as a vibrant center of culture, politics, and history. Within Moscow, the town of Odintsovo nestled in the Moscow Oblast, a region that borders the city and served as the backdrop for Golovkin's early atrocities. Here, among the picturesque landscapes and serene forests, innocence would be shattered, and a malevolent force would emerge. Born on November 26, 1959, in Moscow, the early years of Golovkin's life were marked by adversity and struggles. His father's battle with alcoholism and his parents' eventual divorce cast a shadow over his formative years. As a child, Golovkin faced health issues, including a birth defect in his sternum, leading to frequent bronchitis and indigestion. These physical challenges, coupled with psychological factors, played a role in shaping the man he would become. In his school days, Golovkin was known to be a loner, often isolated from his peers. His male classmates noticed his lack of interest in girls, and he seemed withdrawn from social interactions. Another distressing aspect of Golovkin's childhood was his struggle with enuresis, the inability to control urination. Fearful of his classmates detecting this issue, he carried a burden that further isolated him. As he grew older, the signs of his disturbing tendencies began to surface. At the age of 13, he exhibited sadistic behavior by catching a cat, hanging it, and decapitating it, an ominous foreshadowing of what was to come. Despite these troubling signs, Golovkin pursued higher education at the Tymyryazov Agricultural Academy, graduating in 1982 at the age of 23. He began working at a racetrack before becoming a livestock expert at a stud farm in Moscow. His talent for animal husbandry earned him accolades. Despite his professional success, he remained haunted by disturbing thoughts and desires lurking within the recesses of his mind. Tragically, Golovkin's descent into depravity began in 1984 when he attempted to murder a young boy. This foreshadowed the horrors that lay ahead as his violent fantasies found an outlet in reality. The dark narrative begins in April 1986 when Golovkin committed his first murder. Near the Kachur railway station in Nekrasov, Moscow Oblast, he encountered 15-year-old Andrei Pavlov, a young life that was about to be forever altered. Armed with a knife, Golovkin threatened the terrified teenager and dragged him deep into the forest. There, Andrei's innocence was brutally stolen from him as he fell victim to Golovkin's sadistic urges. After the horrifying act of rape, Golovkin proceeded to strangle young Andrei to death, an act that seemed to ignite some twisted desire within him. In a truly grotesque turn of events, Golovkin desecrated Andrei's lifeless body, engaging in acts of necrophilia, a depravity that defies comprehension. 3 months later, in July 1986, Golovkin struck again. This time, his target was 12-year-old Andrei Gulyav, who had been enjoying his time at a summer camp near Odintsovo. With the cold, glinting blade of a knife, Golovkin subjected young Andrei to the same horrific fate as his previous victim. The tranquil beauty of the summer camp turned into a nightmarish abyss as Andrei became another tragic statistic in Golovkin's growing list of atrocities. As if driven by an insatiable thirst for violence, Golovkin continued his spree, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. Notably, the body of a 16-year-old boy was found in the Odensovsky district, bearing 35 stab wounds and signs of dismemberment. In 1988, Golovkin acquired a beige-colored VAZ 2103 car, seemingly mundane on the outside, but within its confines, he crafted a nightmarish chamber of horrors, a basement-turned-dungeon where he would unleash his sadistic fantasies. From August 1990 onwards, Golovkin unleashed a reign of terror like no other. 8 young boys, aged between 10 and 16 years old, fell prey to his diabolical machinations. Inside the confines of his garage-cum-torture chamber, Golovkin inflicted unimaginable suffering on his victims, deriving pleasure from their pain and reveling in the perverse control he wielded over their lives. His modus operandi was as horrifying as it was calculated. He lured innocent boys, often acquaintances or those he knew from the neighborhood, with promises of committing theft from a warehouse. However, instead of a warehouse, they were led to their grisly fate. One chilling incident involved 3 boys, Yuri Sidyakin, Vladislav Sherikov, and Denis Efremov, lured into Golovkin's clutches on September 15, 1992. As the 3 friends unknowingly stepped into Golovkin's car, they could not fathom the horrors that awaited them. Inside the garage, Golovkin subjected them to unimaginable torment. Yuri Sidyakin had to endure the heart-wrenching sight of his 2 friends being tortured and dismembered. Golovkin played a sadistic game, informing the boys of the order in which they would die for each other, a macabre display of power over their young lives. The depravity reached its peak when Golovkin took his time, savoring the prolonged suffering of his victims, torturing and forcing them to witness the heinous acts perpetrated upon one another. The chilling reality is that Golovkin derived perverse satisfaction from this reign of terror, a deranged soul reveling in the agony he inflicted on the innocent. The reign of terror orchestrated by Sergey Golovkin, the Fisher, had plunged the Moscow region into darkness and sorrow. The sinister web of his crimes had left a trail of shattered lives and grieving families. But as the gruesome murders came to light, a relentless pursuit of justice began, determined to unmask the man behind the mask of evil. On that fateful day of October 5, 1992, mushroom pickers stumbled upon the bodies of the final 3 victims, Yuri Sidyakin, Vladislav Sherikov, and Denis Efremov, in the dense forest. The grisly scene sent shockwaves through the community, raising fear to new heights. As the investigation commenced, the authorities worked tirelessly to identify the malevolent force responsible for these heinous crimes. Little did they know that the elusive killer was already among them, Sergey Golovkin, the monster in plain sight. On October 19, 1992, their relentless efforts bore fruit when Golovkin was detained under suspicion by the police. However, the killer remained calm and initially denied any involvement in the crimes, leaving the investigators with no choice but to release him. Undeterred, investigators Kosteryov and Bakin devised a new plan. They decided to put Golovkin under secret surveillance to gather more evidence against him. But fate had other plans. A rogue policeman violated the order and put Golovkin in solitary confinement for the night, inadvertently changing the course of events. The next morning, during questioning, the floodgates of Golovkin's dark secrets burst open. He confessed to the last 3 murders to investigator Kosteryov, revealing the grim details of his monstrous acts. The police wasted no time and conducted a thorough search of Golovkin's garage, where they made the horrifying discoveries: a baby bath coated with a burnt layer of skin and blood, clothes, and body parts. In a shocking revelation, Golovkin confessed to a total of 11 murders, leading the authorities to the locations where he had disposed of his innocent victims' remains. The web of deception that Golovkin had woven so intricately began to unravel, exposing the depth of his depravity and the gravity of his crimes. As the truth came to light, the community was gripped by disbelief and horror, struggling to comprehend the presence of such evil in their midst. The investigation concluded that Golovkin was sane, but afflicted with a schizoid disorder and psychopathy conditions that shed some light on the twisted psychology behind his monstrous acts. On October 19, 1994, Sergey Golovkin was sentenced to death, the price he would pay for the lives he had taken and the souls he had shattered. But the wheels of justice turned slowly, and the dark specter of Golovkin's crimes lingered over the hearts of the victims' families who sought closure and a sense of justice. On August 2, 1996, the final chapter of this dark tale was written. Golovkin faced the ultimate consequence of his actions as he was executed by a single shot to the back of the head, the last person to be executed in Russia before the abolition of capital punishment. With Golovkin's death, a sense of relief mingled with the weight of grief and sorrow that would never fully fade away for the families of the victims. The case of Sergey Golovkin, the Fisher, had a profound and lasting impact on the community and the entire country. The shocking nature of the crimes, the ages of the victims, and the sadistic methods used by the killer left people in a state of fear and disbelief. Families of the victims were forever shattered, left to grieve the loss of their loved ones and cope with the trauma caused by Golovkin's actions. The sense of safety within the community was shattered, as parents feared for the safety of their children, and neighbors became suspicious of one another. The case prompted discussions about mental health and the need for improved psychological services. Many questioned how a person with such disturbing tendencies managed to elude detection for so long. The case of Sergey Golovkin brought attention to the importance of identifying and addressing mental health issues early on to prevent potential future tragedies. Law enforcement agencies faced scrutiny over their handling of the investigation, particularly the decision to release Golovkin during the initial questioning. This scrutiny led to introspection and the implementation of reforms to improve investigative procedures and coordination among different agencies. The legacy of Sergey Golovkin, the Fisher, lives on as one of the most chilling and tragic chapters in the history of criminal cases in Russia. His case remains a grim reminder of the capacity for human evil and the importance of remaining vigilant against such atrocities. In the aftermath of Golovkin's reign of terror, efforts were made to improve the safety of children and communities. Educational programs aimed at raising awareness about child safety were introduced in schools, and parents were encouraged to have open conversations with their children about recognizing potential dangers. The case also sparked academic and public discourse on criminal psychology and the study of serial killers. Forensic psychologists and criminologists continue to analyze the mind of the Fisher to better understand the motivations and psychological underpinnings of such heinous acts. The story of Sergey Golovkin, the Fisher, serves as a chilling reminder of the depths to which human depravity can sink, a reminder to remain vigilant against the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Let us not forget the innocent lives lost to the horrors of Golovkin's actions. Their memory should forever be etched in our hearts, a stark reminder that evil can manifest even within the confines of our seemingly peaceful neighborhoods. As we explore the darkest corners of human nature, let us also remember the resilience of communities and the determination to stand united against evil. The case of Sergey Golovkin will forever be etched in history as a grim reminder of the need to protect the vulnerable and strive for a safer world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the latest true crime cases. We appreciate having you as part of our community as we explore the mysteries that continue to fascinate us all. Stay curious and remember, justice may stay hidden in the darkest corner. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.